Good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to Hayseed Night.
No, don't tell me! I don't want to know!
Please. You shouldn't even need to ask.
If I'm asking, it's precisely because I know you, Omaseptut. I know that little rotten, cynical mind of yours like it was my own. What were you hoping to achieve by tangling this poor little fool in your wiles?
I wasn't trying anything. I'm only here because I wanted to help.
Help? Help who? Help me become an uncle? Help Adder fight his profound loneliness? What kind of help could you give anyone? Haven't you broken enough families yet?
Oh, whoa. Harsh.
Stuff a sock in it, Gyoff. You ain't got the foggiest idea what Sep's been going through.
Oh, and you think she's bared her soul to you just because she's bared her ass?
Aina joked at the quip. She did her best not to break into laughter as Adder himself got ready to break Geoff's face. The gentle push of Sep's hand on Adder's chest was enough to stop him.
I burned him. On purpose.
Geoff's nostrils flared open as his eyelids slid down.
You even gave him your name.
Though Geoff seemed appeased, Aina kept her head turned towards Sep, looking at her with eyes as wide as platters. She finally found the answer to the question Adder had refused to answer, the origin of his mysterious burn marks. But while everyone else seemed in on the secret, they made no attempt to explain or even acknowledge her. Even Adder failed to notice her distress. He could be forgiven just this once, to be fair. Though he was far better informed and truly thankful for this brief respite Sep had brought, Adder too lacked the context to fully grasp the secret understanding shared between siblings. Aina cast her sight down, dejected. They were leaving her out of the equation once more.
You think we should tell him now?
Geoff's eyes sprung open again.
Tell me what? And you say you've seen all of this happen, and it wasn't just a figment of Adder's imagination.
They were real, Gyoff.
And they were hungry.
Geoff needed a moment to assess the situation.
All right, that's as good of an excuse as any to finally turn a page in the story of our lives. Pack the bowls and the lamp. I have to gather a few provisions for the way. We'll be out of town before nightfall.
Whoa, hold on, Bard. You're running like a scalded reindeer. You sure you want to get like that? On just our word? I know you worked real hard for this place.
Adder, my lad, what kind of self-respecting bard would leave his best friend alone in his darkest hour? No, what kind of herald would do such a thing? I swore that I would make you a knight, and a knight I'll make you, be it here or at the end of the world.
So what's the actual reason?
Can't you see, you hoofhead? The city is brimming with beasts, and you're eloping with a knight's fiancé. Of course we're leaving. Yes, you can come along too, you piece of junk. We'll just ransom you to your father later. Go get started on a note. So, how does Geldibrew sound? Too swampy? Oishet! How about we go touring the western limits instead? I'm sure the Cheetahs would be happy to have more heirloomite musicians to boo.
But it ain't like you're just fixing to sneak out, right? I mean, someone's gonna warn the rest of the city. Tell everyone what's coming to them. There's a whole darn lot of people in danger out there.
Like ships in the night, Adder dearest. We live in wonderful times where we can just ask the Farfagan a few towns over to send sound blooms to all the friends we're leaving behind.
And what will I tell them then? Hey, y'all, I'm so sorry I left y'all here to get digested. We can't abandon everyone to their luck.
Sep, tell your boy toy that we have to leave right now.
Which one? We can still fix this.
Oh, yes, of course. Run! You two are so fantastic at it. You may even last a day before you get eaten.
I'm sorry. I think I just heard something stupid.
Why would you run when we don't even know how many beasts are coming? We still have assets we can use in our favor. Our situation hangs on just a long string of misunderstandings. We could solve them and protect the city at the same time.
Wouldst thou have me go on another pointless quest to clear someone's name to save the kingdom? Unlike Dad, Adder has actually done something. They have reasons to want him dead. Or are you perhaps suggesting that he follow your life choices, We could change his name to High King and wait for everyone to forget there was ever an Adderson. Is that what you want, Sepp? Should I go fetch Rochelle and ask her to be his procurer too?
Why bother with a middleman when you know all about pandering?
Whoa.
Assface!
Nimrod!
Enough!
The silence summoned into the room was as tense as it was fragile. It only lasted until Adder breathed again.
This is all your fault, isn't it? You filled her mind with all those stupid made-up stories about honor and becoming a knight. Like this pea-brain needed any more fuel for her delusions.
Adder looked away, futilely trying to hide a scowl from himself.
Let's just find a way to get you home safe, Sepp. Golf's ain't no place for a sane person.
Yes, go back to your gilded cage. Drink your fat ass to sleep and let the adults handle the rest.
I can't go anywhere. I've been kidnapped.
Sepp let her head fall on Adder's lap. Adder's hands flew away as far from her as physically possible.
I've surely been tied up and locked, my fate resting completely in Captain Adder's wandering hands. Oh, how the tables turn. It was usually the other way around, wasn't it?
She was the one who... It's all lies!
Trying to embarrass me with such pitifully immature tales? That's hardly a story. If you heard the things he mumbles to himself at night when he thinks I'm sleeping, you wouldn't be able to look him in the eye again.
What are you talking about?
They can hardly be worse than the things he said in my bed.
Go back to arguing, please!
Well, it sure looks like a hostage situation in here. There's nowhere to run when it comes to Thar's kids, Adder.
Everyone turned their heads up to stare at the tree man in complete disbelief.
Sorry for coming through the roof, Guff. There's some edible mold on the beams. I thought you may like to know.
Don't you dare act all friendly with me, you heartless stump! How did you find this place?
I have to admit that Talid was understandably uncooperative about this particular case, so I had to enlist the help of a few friends to find your little abode. I've known for a while now, really. I just figured you wouldn't be very happy if I dropped by without a reason, and I'm sure your little sister couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Odd place to hang out after a trial, but I'm not one to judge.
Illigrab laughed heartily at his own pun, but he quickly quieted down when he saw it didn't land so much as a crash into the ground, burning.
You come to arrest us?
Arrest you, Adder? For what? Stealing a lady's heart and getting away with it? Please. Elbar's just abusing his power as usual. That's just your case, of course. Slapping a noble deer unconscious in the middle of the plaza is a little bit higher on the crime list. But I figure we both know by now that Miss Jasif never lived under the same metaphysical rules as the rest of us do. She can do as she pleases. I'd have to get a bit more serious about this whole ordeal if Elbar were to stop screaming he's been betrayed and start treating it as an abduction, of course. But I'm sure you'd be quite a few leagues away from Heirloom by then.
Are you encouraging us to escape?
Me? I would never, Pumpkin. That could get me in trouble, you know. I'm just saying that if I were anyone but me, I definitely wouldn't stick around to watch what happens when Sir Askadath gets his title upgraded to Lord.
Stop listening to him! Don't believe a single word this murderous creep says! He was spying on us!
Do you have to drag your grievances into everything, Goff? I was waiting for the right moment to say something. The conversation wasn't exactly letting up.
How much did you hear then?
More than I care to know. But you know what they say: safe, sane, and something other.
No clue where you're going with that, but we ain't got time for a lesson. If you ain't here to take us prisoner, there's something you gotta hear before you get.
Hold your buckthorns, lad. I said I wouldn't show up without a reason, and I meant it. It's a mission of the utmost importance and urgency, in fact. Aina, I see you hiding there, you tiny troublemaker. Come on out. Did you think I wouldn't recognize you without the dye or what? Bring that cauliflower mullet over here this instant. Your father's worried sick.
With a sober nod, Aina made to walk out, only to get desperately tugged back next to Adder's side by the wrist.
She can't leave yet. It ain't safe out there.
Whoa there, Adder. I'm sure you're all kinds of stressed out after what happened today. And trust me, I wouldn't dare move you an inch away from each other if I didn't have to. But we really don't have a choice here. As messed up as it is, she's still basically a child in the eyes of the law. And her father's, if he had any. How do you expect me to justify leaving a child with a ludopath, a Sephi, and a deserter when he asks? Speaking of which, it took me ages to get rid off that darned pie without you, lad. Don't worry, I did manage to find a new helping hand just in time, but if I were you, I'd keep an eye out for any sudden bouts of hair loss. You may have a new curse or two on your shoulders.
Illigrab trembled slightly at the thought of more flames.
Oh, well then. I wish I could stay here chatting all evening, but I really should get going before someone in the neighborhood tries to chop down this noise disturbance.
Wait, Illigrab, you can't leave for...
I know. You want to clear your name. That is extremely brave of you, kiddo, but it is not a wise choice right now.
That ain't...
Fine. Tell you what, if you really feel like going through with this, I'll be waiting for you all day in the keep tomorrow. You can just drop by, explain your position, and I'll make sure to listen close.
The city's full of beasts!
Illigrab blinked. Then he started cackling.
Of course, the city is brimming with beasts. That's why you had to run away. Classic Adder. You can tell me all about these beasts if you decide to show up tomorrow. Come on, Aina. There's no place like home. Especially no place like this home.
Aina looked at her friends from the doorstep one last time, while Illigrab put the ceiling back in its place. She walked up to Adder. He could only look at her teary-eyed. "It's okay," she signed, with a thumbs up and the most unconvincing smile she'd ever shown him. She turned away. When only the faintest traces of fresh pine fragrance remained in the air, Geoff looked left and right, hoping to find some newly sprouted hesitation. The only thing that grew in Aina's absence was the determination in her apprentice's visage.
You're not actually considering his offer, are you?
You got wax in your ears or what? This could be our only chance to get a word in with him.
Get a hold of yourself, you melonhead! That was nothing but a poorly laid trap! Not to mention, not a problem to either of us once we're 300 leagues away from Erlem!
Adder's lip remained firmly shut.
Come on, we have to leave. We'll disguise ourselves as a traveling troupe. Adder, you can learn how to juggle rocks along the way. Me, I need to find a new hat and a northern accent. Sep, you just continue to be a hindrance. It'll be fine. We'll be...
I'm not going anywhere, Bard.
What?
I don't want to run anymore. I'm tired, all right? I don't want to have to run again. I don't want to leave my family behind every time. I've got nowhere to go but here.
Adder, come on. Lad, my lad. We are friends, you and I. I gave you a place to live, and I taught you how to survive. Don't throw everything away for a girl, a rock, a tree, and a senile old geezer. I know. We'll find you a nice doe in the steppes. I'll steal her boyfriend, and you get to console her, and then you'll settle down together in the farm of your dreams and have all the fawns you want.
Don't bother, Gyoth. It's like talking to a brick wall.
Darn right it is. I made up my mind that I ain't fixing to die any day soon. So don't you worry about a thing, Bard. All this thick's gonna need is a little more time to come up with a master plan and a touch of magic to make his words as pretty as they can be.
Adder sent a wink in Sep's direction. He got an eye roll for his effort.
Fine. Do whatever you want. It's not me they're looking for.
Geoff slammed the door shut, taking all the air in the room with him. Sep and Adder shared a glance under the last few
Never mind. I'm not leaving you two alone in my house.
Geoff kicked the door open. He'd seemingly produced out of thin air 2 plates of bread, boiled beans, and sweet lichen that Adder had never even smelt before.
You get 1 night, and that's it. 1 night to let you clear your mind, get some rest, realize how stupid what you're saying is, let reality sink in, and then we leave. Understood?
He tossed the plate at Sep's face before curling down on his side of the room.
Good night, Sop. Make sure to smash any flea you see.
Sep gawked at the unsophisticated meal and then back at Adder.
Please tell me he's not serious.
Okay.
Sep just urged herself to sleep. Time slogged by that night. Soft snores and crickets in the distance. Shrubs that had been bitten down to the branches jittered around, trying to find a place to sleep. Adder searched the depths of his own mind for wisdom he lacked, trying to find a solution. Do nothing in particular. Do everything that was happening. Do each and every last mistake in his life that had brought him to this moment. But no answers ever came. All he could do was try and fail to sleep. A rustle by his side told him he wasn't the only conscious person in the room at such tempestuous hours.
Hey, Sep, you awake?
No.
Yes, you are.
Sleeping is 90% pretending to be asleep, and my acting skills aren't quite good enough to pretend to sleep here. So, I suppose I am.
Sep rolled towards Adder's bed, doing her best not to wake Geoff up.
Were you thinking about her?
Yeah. I was really hoping she'd, I don't know, show up out of nowhere in the middle of the night or something. That's a very Aina thing to do.
What is? Coming to your shack unannounced?
I don't like where you're going with that question, ma'am.
Adder huffed. He put his hands on his torso and let his gaze wander up until it was lost in the darkness between the rafters.
Tell me if I'm being too nosy now, Kay. I know you said getting closer to Aina was part of a plan and all, but I don't think you got the acting chops or the patience to spend all day making passes at someone you don't like either. You do got a thing for her, don't you?
If I said yes, would that make you jealous?
No. Not really, no. I'd think you'd have good taste.
Sep giggled, shuffling closer to Adder.
She looks really strong. I want her to carry me.
Right? She could actually lift me up with only one hand.
Wow, and she has 2 of those.
Yeah, what a concept, having a pair of anything.
Oh, come on. You want me to go for the easy joke.
Adderson, son of your father, the upper field making raunchy comments in front of his love? Never. Never in a million years.
Indeed. Adderson, son of Gerfather, the upper field, would never dare act so discourteously in front of his Joseph.
Aina would have gone for it, though.
Unspoken words welled up inside Adder's chest until the pressure was such he had to sigh. Zeb put a hand on top of his.
For what it's worth, coming from someone like me, I'm positive that she'll be fine. No matter what the beasts have in store for the city, it's obvious that Aina is an important part of it, and that she doesn't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, you're right. I gotta believe in her. Thanks for that.
Adder and Zeb shared a long hug.
Think Yolf would wake up if...
Good night, Adder.
Adder's eye flew open as his body catapulted itself forward. He couldn't help but pat his chest and his face, making sure everything was where it should be. He was in his house, in his bed.
Don't tell me I slept in. Oh, was I dreaming out loud again just now, Mr. Bard? Bard?
No reply. The sun was rising somewhere beyond the missing wall, like any other morning. Geoff's bed, his slightly bigger hay-filled burlap sack to be precise, lay discarded paces away as usual. But the bard himself was oddly absent from his favorite spot in these hours of the morning, Adder's pillowy chest.
I realize that you're trying to bribe me, and I'm fully okay with that.
No, I swear that's really what happened. He's just made such a nice headrest that every single character in this story shoved their face against it, intentionally or not, at least once.
Uh-huh. Talking from experience, are we?
I thought that ought to balance the accusations of butt favoritism.
The booty stands proudly on its own, unmatched.
There was very little that could force Geoff out of his bed so untimely. The break of dawn was Adder's time to rise, not his. Adder looked around, wondering what else was missing, trying to piece together the puzzle of his memories after the second most stressful day in his life.
This way, Adder.
Adder blinked at the voice. Before his eye had time to open again, he was already on his feet.
Sip, you're here.
What? Did you think I'd change my mind and run away in your sleep?
No. It's been a while since I last woke up with you around. I missed that.
Now I feel bad for having considered it then. I never thought I'd hear anyone say they missed the sight of me in the morning. Here, you deserve a reward. Close your eyes.
Adder closed his one eye and pursed his lips, hoping to find Sep's face very close. Instead, he got a slice of something shoved into his mouth.
What's this? It's good.
I believe it's an orange of some kind. I was hungry, so I went to fetch us some breakfast.
You what? You brought fresh fruit into slander? That's like hollering from the rooftops that you're living the high life. Where did you even get this?
Do you want to know?
Adder hesitated, but Sep did not. With a mischievous grin, she placed one of the oranges in his hand.
The orange I gave you belongs to me. Return it.
Yes, ma'am.
Adder stretched out the orange towards her. Sep grabbed it solemnly.
Do you want it back?
What back?
Your orange.
Oh, that's for me? I mean, if you don't want it, I'd sure be happy to get that off your hands. But I still want to hear where you got it.
Of course. I'll tell you later.
Adder ate his orange happily, unaware of the edge behind Sepp's smile.
I think I've fully come around on the matter of your escapade into my mind, Adder. You managed to dredge up some incredible memories.
Yeah? What crime?
All sorts. Mostly feelings, in fact. I was convinced that I was fully aware of all my thoughts and abilities. But I guess I wasn't even capable of controlling that much after all.
Speaking of knowing, you got any clue where Golf is?
That loser wandered off a while ago saying he'd make us leave whether we wanted to or not. So I'm fully expecting another argument once he gets back.
There was a knock on the door.
Speak of the bard.
Sepp reached out for the handle, but Adder yanked her head back. Another knock. Adder still held her hand. Sorry.
Adder, my beloved, are you in there? I seem to have misplaced my keys. Kindly open the door for me.
We ain't got no keys. That's the Tickman knock.
Sepp and Adder waited with bated breath for the next knock.
Open up, scoundrel! I know you're in there, you treacherous thief! I have captured that undersized manservant of yours. If you don't want him to suffer the same fate as you, I suggest you give yourself up at once.
Oh, mine Adder! I'm so sorry. I had to tell him all about how you kidnapped Esteth and coerced Esteth, my poor childhood friend, the enormous Chasifo Septut, to retaliate against Sir Askadath.
I knew it! It was all a plot to ridicule me. But how dare you blackmail me through my bride-to-be? Release her, villain!
Adder looked at Sepp, absolutely horrified. She grinned back with an innocent shrug.
I guess that's my cue to leave. Oh, Sir Askadath! My love! Please help! This handsome villain threatened to hurt my elderly maid if I didn't go along with his plan.
For some reason, Sepp couldn't even start to guess. Instead of immediately darting away, Adder started roaming the room in panic, kicking open every sack and rummaging through every hay pile that had so faithfully served as a bed for his stay.
Don't come in yet, I beg you! He's put a dagger to my throat and will slice it open if you dare step in!
After much running in circles, looking for alternatives, Adder finally settled for Geoff's sleeping bag. He tugged at the sides to make it wider and wider, until the seams were about to burst.
I'm buying you time, you moron! What are you doing?
The buck lifted the sackcloth over his head.
Adding realism to the scene!
It didn't so much shove Sepp into the burlap sack as stuff her in it head first. With a grunt, he heaved the newly kidnapped royalty onto his shoulder and dashed off through the missing wall. There was no way around the house, and there was no way back. Elbar had brought a whole squadron of guards with him. Adder stopped dead short in front of the cliff below them. He hadn't thought quite this far ahead, and now he faltered to continue.
My love!
Elbar finally tackled the door open, finding absolutely no resistance to his attack and hurling himself and 5 other guards to the ground instead. He looked up in time to see Adder climb on top of a makeshift slide, a tipped-over outbox to be precise, and disappear under the cliff.
What are you waiting for? Get them!
Everyone gulped, watching the results of such an action happen in real time. The friction made quick work of the outbox, tearing it down into brick shards far faster than this makeshift slide could hurtle through the steep fall.
Crap, 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 crap!
The only item that remained between Adder's butt and the rocks by the time he slid down to a halt at the bottom of the slope was his underwear.
Those are my good pants!
How dare you mock me like this one-eyed scoundrel! I shall flay your buttocks myself for this!
Elbar leaped towards the steep cliff with Geoff still in tow. Impressive as it had been, Adder had no intention whatsoever to remain and see the result of his heroics. Adder stopped running at last, finally collapsing to his knees in a shaded alley hidden behind a grill. He set Sepp on the ground beside him. He reached for the sack, fully intent on helping Sepp slip out of it, only to get headbutted in the nose. Sepp jerked from side to side until she managed to tear a hole for her head with the tip of her horns. The rest of her body remained very much stuffed inside the sack.
Anderson, what is wrong with you?
I don't know anymore. I thought you wanted me to steal you away.
And you just had to choose the one chance we had at fixing everything?
Don't you wee me after dropping me in it like that. I hate y'all. Y'all the worst friends I've ever had in my life.
Okay, just to be clear, I had nothing to do with this. Geoff sold us both out. Pretty in line with all his life decisions, really. Abandoning people is basically his whole personality.
What's your excuse then?
I know when to fall by the wayside. Look around you, Adder. None of us actually give a damn about the city or the beasts. You just proved that prick right. We're all just serving our own purposes in the end.
Adder lifted his head up from between his knees.
No, that ain't what happened just now, is it?
He wasn't being a self-centered turd for once. He did it for you. He screwed me over because he wanted you safe.
What? Don't start trying to justify this now. Not everything has a reason, okay? He's just an asshole. Does it matter what he did it for? We're screwed either way.
It matters because it means he's good deep down and he wanted to help somehow. And he got you playing along too.
It was a good chance, so that doesn't mean I have to thank him for it. I didn't ask for his help or yours.
Of course you didn't. You would have just ordered us to do something if you'd thought of that first. How are you supposed to ask for help when you just think everyone's below you?
Adder wanted to stop talking, to stop damning himself after having made a fool of himself. But the words kept on coming.
I got it now. I got it for real, I think. I know why it's always black or white with you.
You don't ever want to think of the reason behind things because you're so convinced that you got us figured out. It's Miss Mind Reader's world. And if you were wrong, you'd have to admit we're all free to make our own choices. Well, it's looking like the end of your world as we know it, Your Majesty. How long are you going to keep on dawdling through life, splitting everyone between folks who could do something for you and folks who are beyond redemption?
If you are done with the lecture, I have a life to get back to. Enjoy yours.
Sepp never walked with anything less than a dignified stride, not even to saunter away in a burlap sack. Adder found himself alone once more. It occurred to him that maybe he would have preferred to let her keep thinking that, to be as far from right as possible. The closer he got to being honest with himself, the closer he got to driving everyone away from him. Nobody liked the person he was when he wasn't bending over backwards to please them. He didn't sag for long. He wasn't completely alone after all. Adder turned his face towards the slums, determined, towards the one person that had stayed with him throughout everything, for better or worse, the man who had consistently been unreliable all along. He wouldn't give up on Geoff.
Wait! What are you doing?
Huh? What are you doing? Weren't you?
Elbar will be coming that way, you cretin! Are you trying to get yourself killed?
Adder pondered the very same thing.
You know why I'm friends with Geoff, Sepp? It's 'cause I get him. We got a lot in common, the two of us.
No, you don't! What are you even…
Adder brushed Sepp's cheek with his thumb. His smile carried a story.
Remember that one buck I knew? The one from down yonder the steps? Well, he didn't get along with his family either. Wasn't all they hoped he could be, see? They didn't like him very much by the end, so they sent him away hoping he'd come back someone better. But he never did get better, and he never did come back. He messed his whole life up, forever. So he ought to stayed and taken whatever they got in store for him. But he went and ran. The price was everything he'd ever known. I don't know if you've ever met the guy, but the thing is, he can't ever return home. And even if he could, he couldn't look him in the eye again.
You don't know that.
Adder tried to keep the smile on his face.
To be fair, he was kind of an innocent guy, and he had huge dreams, so Geoff scammed every last coin out of him the second he arrived. Don't tell him I told you this, but instead of getting mad at the bard, the guy couldn't help but think, whoa, I wish I was like that. He wanted to be cold, to be fine with the bad things he'd done, but no matter how much he tried, he could be Adder, but he couldn't be the rest of that. He was still me no matter what. And there ain't no way that me guy could survive leaving his family behind twice.
Of course he can! He's just been betrayed! Come on! They'll cut your head and mine if they find us talking like this!
I'm sorry, Sepp. Love, I'm for real grateful for all the chances you've given me, but I meant what I said. I ain't choosing between the people I love no more.
Why are you being like this? Can't you listen to me just this once? You're only going to get hurt.
No, I get that. And I think you're way smarter than I am, because you can see this don't make a lick of sense. I'm sure it's one of those honor bugs rich folks get sometimes. Must have caught a bit of it somewhere. I'm sorry I dragged you here. You don't gotta come with, okay? Go find somewhere safe to hide and tell them you escaped when I wasn't looking. Be as selfish as you say you are this one time. I want to stop worrying you too.
This isn't like you, Adder.
I ain't... No, you're right. It ain't. But I sure wish it was. So I'm just gonna pretend a little longer.
Adder glanced away, knowing that he would rather do anything else in the world. He knew that if he looked at Sepp just one more time, he would remember all the times she had asked him to run away with her, and he wouldn't dare say no ever again. But then he felt a tug on his little finger, and he knew that it was already too late to escape. He turned around just to find Sepp staring at him with glassy eyes and an undignified blush across her cheeks.
You're not going to leave without a proper goodbye, are you?
How proper are we talking?
You said it yourself. This could be the last time we see each other.
All right, look, I miss you too, and I'm very glad I'm alive and we're alone to the three. No, they know. I'd be right happy to do whatever you wanted, wherever you wanted. But the whole city plus size is coming for us right now, and I gotta go save Geoff and...
I will not settle for anything less than a kiss. Or are you afraid of getting a little warm now?
Afraid? Of a kiss? Anderson, son of Gerfod of the Upper Field, don't know no fear, Missy!
Are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Adder pulled Sepp closer with one of his shovel hands and leaned in, his heart pounding faster in a second than in the whole of last moon. A kiss so heated that it warmed up his very soul. It made him feel as grand and special as she'd made him feel time and time again. He forgot for a brief moment that there was a world outside and that both their necks were in grave danger. There was only the kiss, as far as he was concerned. This moment, too, would come to pass, alas.
Good. Now play along.
Something struck Adder's face at full speed, leaving a bright red mark. He needed an instant to register that it was, in fact, Sepp's hand.
Unhand me, you brute! How dare you try to steal me away from my love! My lips belong to one man and no more! Oh, Sir Askadath! Sir Askadath, where are you?
Hark! I think I hear the melodiously grating voice of Deceive somewhere, slapping the man who made her slap your brother in the first place! Yeah!
Deceive! Oh, my love! How could I fail to understand such an obvious ploy?
But what?
Oh, no! I can't believe this deer was actually a pirate, planning to make me his queen. I said play along, you numbskull. Going to take me to the Sea of Fensnar to claim the throne of the Saxarat for himself.
Yeah, whatever she said. Gonna take her to my lair and get legally married to her. Ugh, gosh darn it, Sip. Would it kill you to give me a heads up from time to time?
Guards! Forget that beautiful bastard! We have to stop that fiend before he makes away with my princess!
The guards that were just catching up rushed to grab Geoff. They looked at the stumpy bard. Then they turned their faces to Elbar.
What are you standing there for, you layabouts? Never mind. I'll go get them myself!
There. Now I don't have to worry about you. You're welcome.
You really did turn me into Captain Horneater.
You can spend all the time you need crying about your infamy once we have decided our next move.
What? Oh, no, ma'am. I've changed my mind. I want to drop you. I'm dropping you as soon as I can. We're getting too far away from Slander as it is, and there's no way I'm carrying you all the way to Illigram.
I'm the only woman standing between you and the tip of Elbar's sword.
And your sacrifice is much appreciated, but I can 100% guarantee he wouldn't be coming after me if I wasn't carrying your majesty. If you want to help, just go and magic the guards away or something.
Of course! Let me try and persuade the minds of 12 armed deer while I'm bouncing on your shoulder. Or maybe I could burn the sack and set the whole street on fire as we pass to give them actual reasons to call me a Sephi. Is that what you want me to do, Adder? Arson?
Ma'am, I'd never. I'm sure you've gone into plenty of arson on Lord Snotty Snout already. We don't need any more of that.
Aw, is that jealousy I see? Did you think he had a pretty mark like yours?
Nah, I don't think nothing. But hey, since you're bringing it up, I'm sure the jerk-ass could use a mark or two. You should leave a big red blotch on that butt hanging from his face. One to match his little bros. That'll teach him how to treat a lady.
Like you knew much better.
So what if I don't do things the knightly way? I'm still a farmer, ma'am. I may not wear the right clothing, but I definitely know a thing or two about Nope. You know what? I think you made your point. You're still making a mistake all the same.
I'm not the one reaping what he sowed. If you were half the farmer you claim to be, you'd know some harvests are too fast for one husband.
Ma'am, I'd call the whole darn town over if these two farmhands ever stopped being enough. But why'd you keep running back to that gosh darn friggin' silver spoon-fed musclehead of all the horn-eaters in Dakna when he don't even want you?
Oh, I didn't realize I needed your approval to choose my patrons.
You didn't even choose him.
Adder, please. You can't choose the love of your life. He for whomst my heart flutters. All I can ever dream of. Yada yada, what a heartthrob.
Yeah, right. You're lying to me and to yourself. It's his horns after all, ain't it? So big and shiny and...
Why, thank you. I polish them every day.
Oops. Yeah, I guess they failed to mind their surroundings while arguing. With a quick swoosh, Elbar sent his cape away. He smirked as he tipped his sword towards Adder, clearly set on not letting them walk another step.
I've hated you.
Your legs have been slowed down by the weight of your villainy, miscreant.
Yeah, that's gotta be it.
Adder got the low end of his back kicked.
I mean, hands off my booty, landlubber! Tell me what you've done with Goff, or your precious wife is gonna, walk the plank? Am I supposed to say that there? Anyway, she's gonna kick the bucket if you don't tell me where my friend is.
Friend? Friend? Not only are you wicked, one-eyed scoundrel, you are stupid as well. You never even noticed that your herald betrayed you from the start.
No, I 100% knew that. Yar.
So you think, but we were one step ahead of your evil wits yet. He was the one who instructed me to wait for you right here.
Like, here?
In this general area.
Isn't that where it hurts when you get kicked in the nuts?
Don't start interrupting me with your shameless mockery. I know your vocabulary is far vaster than that.
Yeah, Captain. Pay attention to his spiel, or he'll have to start reciting it all over from the beginning and he'll end up hurting his throat.
Thank you, babe. Screaming threateningly always takes a toll on me.
You ever try hollering from your belly? I heard it. Sorry.
Where was I? Oh, yes! Goff knew that your wretched heart would be crushed by the immense guilt you'd feel over abandoning the only man who had been compassionate enough to offer you a single crumb of affection in your miserable existence.
He's gonna catch a crumb of affection from these hands when I find him.
And trust me, brigand, if there is one thing I hate more than peasantry, it's piracy! Pay for your things, goddammit! Artists need money to eat!
And writers! And actors!
And every other freelancer in the world. Those idiots that think passion is its own reward have the empathy and the creative spirit of a boot soul.
Stealing from small creators is not the same as stealing from soulless corporations that feed on the creative output of the workers they employ, okay?
Stealing from people like Elbar is always morally correct, though.
Oh, no, yeah, bleed him dry.
Return my treasure to me at once! Do you know how much her love has cost me?
She doesn't belong to you.
No, I can't count so high. But my ma taught me that one shouldn't talk about women like you own them. It makes no difference how much you paid for her company. You could buy her time, but not her heart.
Love makes servants out of nobles, and thieves out of beggars.
Seb discreetly took a hand to her face, lest any hint of red would show.
Ha! Spoken like a true pirate. But your treacherous glib and your touching poems won't deceive me twice, Buccaneer. You have had your final word. Now prepare to bleed on my sword.
Now would be a real good time to do something, Seb!
It really would, wouldn't it?
Seb!
Die!
Mr. Raskadath!
The point of Elbar's unnecessarily long blade stopped just a hair's width short of the tip of Adder's snout.
Behind you.
The knight stood stately still. A moment later, he came crashing down chin first against the ground. Blank were his eyes and his expression as he lay on the pavestones. Red was the blood that trickled down his forehead. Extraordinarily red, not blue or purple or any other color Adder had so often heard distinguished nobles from people like him. The pirate and the princess looked up, struggling to keep their jaws locked in place at the sight that awaited them. Where Elbar lay now stood none other than Miss Rochelle, still heaving on a fireplace poker, now bent in a particularly incriminating way. Rachel tossed the poker, indented with Elbar's head shape, next to its rightful artist. Then she reached out over the body, to get a purchase on Sepp's arm, her face a presage of dread.
Come with me! That won't keep him down long.
Sepp hesitated at first, but a single grunt from the massive body below them was enough to get both of their hooves moving towards the heartache district, with a brief, en route stop on Elbar's head, just in case. The two women sprinted away, leaving two men behind them. Then again, Adder was much too preoccupied to think about chasing them. His eye was transfixed on the brief insinuation of a glowy-eyed silhouette observing him from the other end of the alley. He felt a drop of cold sweat zigzagging down his back. His legs tensed up, but he still couldn't move. His whole body was frozen in fear at the sight.
Did I stutter? Move!
By the time Adder blinked again, the shadow was gone. He shook his head and began running after Miss Rochelle, making sure to accidentally trip over Elbar's head as well, of course. The older woman led them through narrow alleys skirting the walls of Heartache District, home of aggregated houses of ill repute, and slimy storefronts where one could get most anything except sunlight. Streets that guards would also casually avoid in their patrols, lest they be recognized with their uniforms on. Adder kept turning his head back, nearly losing sight of their guide time and time again. He wasn't familiar with the area and would have much preferred not to have to excuse his way through these streets, so he picked up the pace, making a great deal of effort to catch up to Sepp. Her stride, he noted, was surprisingly quick when lightened by the horror of having to be carried by Adder in front of anyone else.
Sepp, I think I saw.
Are you trying to take us on a leisure tour around Heartache or what, Raoul?
Rachel didn't bother replying to that. She merely tossed back a crumpled piece of paper as she ran. A wanted poster, and Adder could count himself lucky that he couldn't read a single thing it said about him. It was clear that around streets like these, discretion remained the lowest common denominator. Sepp was clearly winded, but she thankfully wouldn't have to keep appearances up much longer. Their stroll finally drew to a close as the alley opened up into a guarded street once more. The street that led to the Desert Rose, no less. I think we'll continue from here in the next episode. See what happens next. Are they going to hide in the Desert Rose for a while? Or what? I mean, they do need a place to lay low. While everybody's looking for them. Or, I mean, at least Elbar and the guards are looking for them. But yeah, we'll see in the next episode. For now, thank you so much for watching and spending a little of your time with me here today. It was lovely to have you. Please remember to be kind to yourself. Have a lovely rest of your day. And I will see you again next time.